back to Efficio's Transforming Public Procurement Microcast. Today, we're going to explore the new role of preliminary market engagement and why it's important. I'm Andy Craig, and I'm here with Alex Lawrence, a senior consultant from our public sector practice. So Alex, firstly, in a nutshell, are you able to explain to our listeners what preliminary market engagement is and how it's relevant in the new Procurement Act?
Sure. Hi, everyone, and thanks for having me on today's Microcast, Andy. So in summary, preliminary market engagement is now no longer the nice to have that it used to be in the old regulations and is now strongly considered as best practice. Preliminary market engagement takes place at the strategy building stage, and it's essentially there to help contracting authorities gather information, and it also helps the market to prepare for the procurement. It's particularly important under the new Act, where authorities can have significant flexibility to design and tailor their competitive procurement procedures. However, what's key here is that this engagement must be conducted in a way that doesn't give any supplier an unfair advantage or distort competition. And lastly, there's also a provision to publish what's called a preliminary market engagement notice. And this is a notice that's used to invite suppliers to participate, also notify the market that the engagement has already taken place, just to help to ensure a level playing field.
Thanks, Alex. Actually, we had a debate with a stakeholder last week over the value of using preliminary market engagement in a competitive flexible procedure, essentially whether we should or shouldn't proceed with one. Can you tell me where the outcomes of the pre-market engagement fit in and why it's more important now than ever?
Sure. So firstly, in a competitive flexible procedure, you're allowed to establish certain facts as you actually progress. But there's a much greater requirement now to understand and document why the particular tender approaches have been taken. And preliminary market engagement is really useful to develop, test and shape the key decisions that are underpinning the commercial process with the market to actually build that robust strategy. And although it's not mandatory, the information gathered during this stage can be absolutely invaluable for procurement teams. I think, beyond just identifying the set of potential suppliers, the regs are also there to try to overcome any potential barriers to entry. And carrying out this engagement can really help to understand suppliers' key capabilities and determine what the potential lotting strategy is. It can help in developing the authority's requirements and the approach to the procurement, as well as assisting in designing the procedure itself and working out any conditions of participation or award criteria further down the line.
Thanks, Alex. There's quite a lot of potential for value there. So can you tell me what buyers need to do differently from tenders under the new regs versus tenders done under PCR 2015?
Yeah, sure. So I guess the main changes from the old regs is that there's now requirements out there to actually document the outcomes of any engagement as evidence. And there's also requirements to update the documents and use that information to actually steer the tender. And this effectively helps the contracting authority to protect itself from a risk perspective. For instance, if the procurement was to be challenged, as they've gone through that robust evidence process to get there. And taking all of this into account, it should also really help authorities in achieving value for money, as it allows them, for example, to recognise divergence between suppliers, and that enables them to identify some suitable areas for negotiation and dialogue.
I think that's a really helpful breakdown. And this also relates very nicely to last week's conversation about small and medium enterprises. I hope everyone's enjoyed today's episode. As always, please keep the dialogue going in the chat. We'd love to hear content suggestions. And if anybody has any questions on this topic, please reach out to Alex and myself. Thanks, everyone.